Rewind. This is Dope Nostalgia.
Hey, it's great to be back with you guys. Episode 242 of Dope Nostalgia Podcast. I'm Naomi, your host. Today's special guest is in a band that had a massive hit. It was technically 2000, not quite 1999. I'd say it was so close to that, though. It still counts because obviously this band got together in the late 90s. Brendan Brown, the lead singer of Wheatus, is on the show today. Love him. Great guy. Couldn't be more excited to talk to him. Let's get to that interview. But before that, I want to give you some background information on Wheatus.
Wikipedia moments.
Please bear in mind that Wikipedia can be edited by anyone at any time. If I am reading you the artist's bio, then you know it's information straight from the source.
And the great news is, this is off Wheatus.com, straight from their About section. It's been 25 years since the release of Teenage Dirtbag, and somehow Wheatus' now iconic debut single is arguably the biggest it's ever been. And to celebrate this milestone, the band are returning to the UK and Ireland in November and December 2025, playing their debut album in its entirety each night. The last few years have been a true whirlwind for the band. In 2022, Teenage Dirtbag became the cornerstone of a huge TikTok movement. The Teenage Dirtbag photos trend has now been embraced by nearly 1 million people, including celebrities such as Madonna, Lady Gaga, Mark Ruffalo, Lil Nas X, John Bon Jovi, Chevy Chase, and countless others, resulting in the hashtag Teenage Dirtbag being viewed over 2 billion times worldwide. And if that wasn't enough, in 2023, it surprised everyone again by re-entering the UK Top 40 charts. Against all odds, this fresh frenzy around the 25-year-old anthem has led the band to recently perform on some of the most prestigious stages of their career. Wheatus have recently shared club, arena, and festival lineups across the world with the likes of Alice Cooper, Blondie, Busted, Everclear, Hoobastank, Living Colour, Phantom Planet, The Wallflowers, Jimmy Eat World, Dashboard Confessional, The 1975, Muse, Jack White, Blink-182, Paramore, Coheed and Cambria, so many more. In 2023, Wheatus embarked on what might have been an unprecedented 47-date tour of the UK and Ireland that was only a few tickets shy of completely sold out. They performed at Download Festival 2024 to an audience of over 20,000. Brendan also squeezed in a Dirtbags Across America tour, where he played intimate acoustic shows in 49 of 50 U.S. states. Sorry, Alaska, working on it. Most recently, Wheatus did massive tours of both the USA and UK with their old friends Bowling for Soup, to some of the largest sold-out crowds both bands have seen in their entire careers. The final night of their upcoming tour will be a truly special gig with Bowling for Soup and Punk Rock Factory at the one and only OVO Wembley Arena in London. An absolutely perfect way to end this incredible year. After their 2020 plans were foiled by you-know-what, Wheatus are committing every waking moment of 2025 to traveling the world to celebrate the anniversary of their debut album that still means so much to so many. In addition to playing their full debut album each night, they'll also be taking fan requests for any other favorites from their 3-decade career, a ritual they've upheld at headline shows for almost 20 years now. It's a joy to behold. See for yourself. Friends, I am so happy to have this gentleman on the show today, Brendan Brown. Welcome to Dope Nostalgia. Thanks for making the time to appear on my show. I appreciate it.
Oh, no worries. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I wanted to ask you where you're coming from today.
From our studio in the Bronx in New York City. It's a mess, but that's where we do everything. So
Perfect. Yeah. You Long Island boy, right?
originally, yeah. I haven't lived on Long Island properly since about 2000 and, well, maybe 1997 or so. Mm-hmm. I've been sort of a city boy since about the age of 21 or 22. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Your roots in music started out of that city, I'm imagining, or out of Long Island. So I'm in
Yeah.
Canada. I've been to Long Island, but I went to West Babylon, and that's all I've seen.
Right.
I'm out west, so yeah.
Well, yeah, I know Long Island I have a funny history with the place. We didn't really get started there. We're kind of the last band to have to go into the city to make waves anywhere or get anything done. And just after us, of course, as you know, is probably that there was Taking Back Sunday and Brand New and a whole bunch of other bands that came from Long Island, like right after us. That were able to make their scene and make their mark like on the island, you know. But when I grew up, that wasn't really a thing.
Yeah. What started you down the path of music?
Oh man.
Loaded question.
Well, the story is that I was at the age of 2, sort of singing along to Bobby Darin's version of Mac the Knife in front of the mirror. So it goes back that far, but I guess it was around 8 or 9 years old that I discovered AC/DC, and my mom taught me how to play My Girl on her nylon string guitar, and I took it from there, and kind of found myself in music and taught myself how to play guitar. I had guitar lessons for about 3 months with a guy named Rick Helf, who was really instrumental in showing me some chords, you know, showing me like the AC/DC chords and stuff. And
Yeah.
was the only guy who I ever had lessons with. And then after that, I was on my own. I think that was when I was 10 or so, or 11 maybe, when I took lessons with him. And then after that, I was off on my own by myself, learning how to play, you know.
Yeah.
Along to record, really. I was like, you know, put the record on and figure out how to play it. You know, that was the challenge.
I've spent some time watching documentaries about you and the music on YouTube. So the story of Teenage Dirtbag, I'm not going to get into as much because of the fact that I'm going to tell the people about it before the show. You know, I know you've talked about it quite a bit, where the song came from already. So I know once it started blowing up in Australia and then the UK, for some reason in the US, it was a struggle until you got overseas, right?
Yeah. Well, I think the American record label tried to make it a pop single, a pop radio single here in America, and I think that was a mistake. It had done okay at rock radio, which I thought that was definitely something to build on, but I think that they thought they had all eggs in one basket and tried to go pop with it, and the pop thing made the rock radio thing disappear because they don't want to have the same market share necessarily with a new artist. So they, and this is back in like the summer of 2000, mind you, things are very different these days, but the point only being that the crossover happened too soon and too aggressively, I think. And then, we were in a funny spot after that. So, yeah. And then a few months later, it started to happen in the other territories, the other overseas territories. So Australia and the UK and one by one, all of the European territories. And then we were suddenly doing okay. But prior to that, it looked pretty bleak.
I felt from being up in Canada, it was doing great. I just don't remember the timeline of when it got huge here.
Yeah. You know, I couldn't even tell you that myself. I do know that when I was living in Queens and writing the first record, that I was watching much music all the time and was exposed to, you know, Matthew Good Band and the Tragically Hip and a lot of other Canadian artists that I really dug on. And yeah, so quite a bit of the Tragically Hip was influential on the first record, I think, just in terms of their tone of their records and the way that they came across, along with, you know, New York hip hop, which was always in my world, you know, because when I was in high school, if you got a mixtape and it had Metallica on it, it also had Public Enemy on it, you know. Yeah. Yeah, and LL Cool J and Tribe Called Quest sometimes, that kind of New York hip hop was mixing with metal in the late 80s there in the best way. So, yeah.
How did you find out, and where were you when you found out that it became such a huge hit? And where did it hit number one?
Well, the first time it did anything like that was Australia. And that was in December of 2000, of the year 2000, which was about 6 months after it came out. The American record label had stopped calling us back for months by this time. So suddenly got a call from them. Our A&R guy was on the line telling me that we were going to be number one in Australia and that we had to go there. And I was like, no. We had been touring in the States for all that time, and I was really tired and had bronchitis and was just not well, and didn't want to go on some adventure where they were going to screw it up again. And he was like, no, you don't understand. Cause he was talking about it was going to be a pop single. Mm-hmm. He's like, things are different in Australia. It's not the way you think. It's not like here in America. It's not going to be the same mistakes and blah, blah. And he finally convinced me. We went down there, and it was indeed number one on the pop charts that month and went quadruple platinum. And then the same thing happened about 2 months later in England, or the UK rather. So that was 6 months in after we had kind of thought that it was done. We thought it was over.
It's amazing how different countries will embrace things that the American audience hasn't quite caught on to yet sometimes. Yeah,
that's the thing. I think presentation has a lot to do with it. Like, how do they receive it? What channels do they receive it through via, Yeah. So, yeah, but we got lucky there, I think.
Did you get to play some of those European festivals? Oh,
yeah. Tons of them. Reading Festival, Virgin Festival, Roskilde, I think that's in Denmark. Bunch of others. I don't even remember. There were so many, lots of German festivals.
Nice.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Is it a different energy? What's the energy like there as opposed to playing a show here in North America?
Over there, we went from 0 to platinum in like the blink of an eye. And suddenly we're on stage in front of, even in some cases, 250,000 people, right? Like just humongous, like Princess Trust party in the park, gigantic stuff. And in the States where we'd come from, we were touring with Zebrahead. We were touring with Eve 6 and Harvey Danger. We were touring with SR-71. And we were playing clubs as a support act, pretty much, and really enjoying it. But having to earn the trust of the audience and really work as performers on what we did. And in the UK, it was a bit more manic. It was just tons of people just like jumping up and down, like waves and waves and waves of people. Yeah. And, we had to learn how to do a show in front of that kind of a crowd, which was a little bit more high energy and a little bit more a higher expectation, So it was quite different. And a lot of television too. They don't really, no club performing really prepares you for television. Television is weird because it's not, the audience is sort of disconnected. So you're kind of imagining what you look like and not having any feedback on it, kind of like TikTok, I guess.
I guess you're just throwing it out into the air, hoping it sticks.
Yeah, exactly.
were some of the shows that you enjoyed visiting the most and some of your most memorable performances?
We got to open up for James Brown and Frank Black in Belgium one time.
Yeah.
Our record release party in New York City was opening for Joey Ramone at CBGB's. That was cool. Yeah, that was the second time I ever played CB's. Joey died about a year after that, sadly. We most recently we had one that was really cool. We played a festival in New Jersey called Adjacent Festival, and our friend Christian McKnight put us on there, and he put us in this great spot. But I thought for sure that we were going to have the crowd was going to leave, and the reason was because we were playing the stage opposite Paramore, like right before them. Right. So I'm thinking this crowd's not staying. They're going to go get their position for Paramore. They're not going to stick around for us, for our 45-minute set. And I was wrong. The whole entire festival stayed for us through the whole performance. And it was on the beach, and the sun was setting when we started, but it was nighttime when we ended. And there was like seagulls flying through the lights and stuff. It was like really, really cool. And I guess there was about 10, 15,000 people in front of us, and in the immediate front of the stage. And they didn't leave for Paramore. And I felt like, oh, wow, it's almost like we just opened up for Paramore. Felt like that, And before us was Pup, another great band that I love. So it was like we were sandwiched between these two amazing acts and given this chance to fill this slot. And we were able to do it. And everyone stuck around. And I was like, wow, man, I can't believe this is happening. It's 25 years later, but it's happening, Yeah.
The crowd embraced you and your music, and you're doing something right. That's incredible.
It's the dream right there. It was the dream. So yeah. So that even in you go back to England and the UK and overseas touring. Of course, there were some really interesting moments. Really beautiful things happened, but that Paramore show is going to stick with me forever.
I have a super basic question to ask you as a songwriter. Teenage Dirtbag, which part is the chorus? Is it the I'm just a teenage? Is it that part, or is it
that's the chorus. You got the chorus right the first time. It's I'm just a teenage dirtbag baby. That's the chorus. And then the oh yeah part we refer to as the oh yeah. So
the, oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Perfect. Because it does kind of elevate a little bit higher than the chorus does. Mm-hmm. I always loved songs that had a third part that was better, like that where they finally get to it and it's just the payoff is just like, oh my god, the other chorus was good, but this is ridiculous,
This feels so good.
yeah, gotta get up to the ceiling, yeah, all of my favorite records have something like that. AC/DC records have that, and Rush does that, and Ani DeFranco does that, and Prince always did that, just elevate that extra level that people don't know is hiding there. These days, I don't want to sound like that guy, but these days songs don't really have bridges anymore sometimes. And I feel like there's a missed opportunity to like write a little bit more, write something more interesting and elevate a little bit higher. That said, Juliana Hatfield just put out a record about 5 years ago that I think is just, she's outdone herself so many times over. She's just so good. Called Blood, and there's a song on there called there's lots of greats. There's no skips on that entire record, but there's one that really stands out for me. It's called Dead Weight, and Dead Weight has a final lift that brings you somewhere new. So yeah.
I love when the music is written in such a way that it takes you on a destiny, like a journey all throughout it. But it's crazy because you're right, the bridge is so not utilized anymore, just as much as the guitar solo possibly. Yeah, it's like in Broadway it's like the intermission, but you have an opportunity there to write something because the song is so much shorter. Nobody's got to go to the bathroom, so you just like you should hit it. Like squeeze one more in there. I think it breaks up the song a bit, and it adds some special flavor to it.
Yeah. Stephen Jenkins does a cool version of it where he like goes into a rap, he like in Never Let You Go. I remember the stupid things, the mood rings, bracelets and the beads, nickels and I'm waiting for that part the whole time I'm listening to that song, in the car, just waiting. Come on, Steve, let's go. Like it's going to happen. And that's what songwriting is to me, to get to that like final boss,
Mm-hmm. I understand that the record company was like, no, you can't use the word gun. So, I noticed when I watched the video that you eye roll when they, they cover up the word. So that was obviously intentional.
Oh yeah, they asked me to stop eye rolling so many times, and I was like, nope. Every fucking take is going to have an eye roll. You're not going to have any shots of me doing this word without that. You're not going to have a moment where I don't sing something else. You're getting the full. I did that every single time, and some of them were more melodramatic than others. But and I was like, what's the big deal? I'm rolling my eyes at the character. They were like, fuck you, but it was good. It was good. It was good. It worked out, I think, in spite of them trying so hard to censor it. You know what that was about, right? It was about, you couldn't have records on the shelves in Walmart or any of the bigger stores that had a parental advisory sticker on them.
Right.
And you could buy a semi-automatic weapon down the other aisle and go shoot some kids up at a school, but you couldn't buy an album that sang about that. So that had something to say about that. So it was like this weird, like, no, we're not going to do that. That's ridiculous, And I think
hypocrisy.
The worst. And I think that we kind of pissed off at us for that in lots of ways at the label, because we weren't playing ball. And I think that they, might have blamed that whole episode for the reason it didn't cross over at pop radio or what have you. It's all a bunch of bullshit. It was just cowardice and stupidity. Yeah. And it's over now. And its dumb thing was that the way that they wound up having to censor it, because I wouldn't sing a new lyric, they put the record scratch instead, right? So what does that do? That makes kids want to know what I said.
Exactly.
Drawing attention to it. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just, dumb.
And working with Jason Biggs and Mena Suvari. I hope I said her name right. Mena Suvari.
Suvari, yeah.
Yeah, in the video.
That was incredible. At first I was apprehensive, I must say. Like, I kind of felt like, oh man, we really fooled them this time. These are real Hollywood people. What are they putting us next to these people for? But they turned out to be really chill and super cool. I remember Mena was sort of like very interested, sort of intellectual and smart as hell. And Jason was this like regular dude from New Jersey who happened to be hilarious and super smart too. So it was just like, it just wound up being like, oh, these are just people, cool. I'm glad.
Yeah. Now, kudos to you for having so many women in the band over the years. Several members, with you being the heart and soul of Wheatus. How have you connected with the musicians you bring into the fold over time?
It's kind of a family. I think we're pushing 40 some odd. The grander circle is 40 some odd people who play in this band from time to time. Talking about having Phil Jimenez out on the road again. He was my first sort of co-producer and multi-instrumentalist and musical partner, really. And that the fact of the matter is that some of our music is pretty peculiar and difficult to play. It takes drummers about a month to get Teenage Dirtbag right, because it's got this, we spent 4 years programming that beat on a drum machine before my brother learned it off the drum machine and played it on the actual kit. So there's a lot of hyper development of the drums in this band, and it takes a while for a drummer to come in. We've had Madden Class and Leo Frary and Kevin Garcia and Guillermo Fuentes is here, and Will Tully. I mean, Will's the drummer for Des Rocks, and Madden is touring with Chapel Roan now and did Boy Genius, and Guy's got some heavy hitter people he works with, and Kevin's the same way. We always wind up needing a really, really good drummer, and they get taken away by some bigger act right after. So it's super cool. The extended family of Wheatus people is amazing. And of course, Matthew has been in the band for 20 years now, and we have my friend Eric is standing in on bass for him this week because we're doing some sound research and Matthew's not available. And Eric is telling me almost every day, I can't believe what Matthew does in this band. This is crazy. No one plays the bass like this. But yeah, so I'm saying like we have a big family because we have big needs, you know. You know, just yesterday, Guillermo, who's played tons of shows with us, I was talking to him about how the hi-hat needs to be in Lemonade, right? And we really had to get into it to break it down and figure out. It's like, well, if you had the dial somewhere in between Tommy Lee and Phil Collins, you would have to turn it a little bit toward Phil Collins to get it right. You know, it's like nuanced stuff happening all the time in the Wheatus musician family. So, and of course, Brandy, our keyboard player, is a big Fish fan, and he's got the kind of chops that you would find in like Emerson, Lake and Palmer or some other wicked keyboard, you know, Deep Purple or some other band that has like ridiculous keyboards. Yes. And that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's all a big challenge to get this music right, and the right people are required. And for that reason, we have kind of revolving doors, like anybody who's available to step up and feels like they can do it. But it's not the kind of gig you can just read a chart and sit in. That's not how this band works. It's very difficult. Yeah. So, and of course, we've had females in the band for forever. Madden's our only female drummer, but I mean, I find talent where I can find it for the band, right? So it's just like Carly Bruce is a jazz singer from Australia. Absolutely brilliant. She helps me find notes that, you know, I'm looking for that I don't know the name of, you know, because Joanna Kranich before her was a similar jazz singer, very, very skilled, very talented. Gabrielle Sturbins is my partner. She's been in the band for 14 years. She's her own singer-songwriter in her own right. Opens up for me on the acoustic shows. She's sort of the lead vocalist in the band. And Joey is Matthew's wife, and she's been the backing vocalist in the band the longest. And she's got a knowledge of the Wheatus arrangements that, you know, there's 80-something songs that are streaming right now, and some of those are 4-part or even 5-part harmonies that she knows every little. Her memory is so good; she just knows every little part. So she's the walking encyclopedia, and we're all crew as well. So we build the rig on stage right in front of the audience before we play. Every one of us, me included.
Wow. Yeah,
and then we play a set that doesn't have a set list, right? We do all requests, so we pitch it out to the crowd. So in order to do that, you got to have people who really know what they're doing, and are able to rehearse for long periods of time. So all we're doing this summer, I'm recuperating from a surgery that went very well, by the way, but all this summer we're just rehearsing. That's all we're doing, because we have the big touring coming up in November and October, with the show at Wembley being the final one of the year. So yeah, it's a big group of people. I think we might even wind up being a 9-piece on the UK leg this time. So
that's exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Yeah,
I think musicians appreciate when you give them challenges like that, you know, like especially like you said, with the drummers, like it keeps them interested, keeps them occupied learning.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're going to have 2 drummers in the center of the stage. We're going to have Phil with his harmonicas and his shakers and accordion and banjo and whatever else he played on all those songs. Then the 3 girls singing vocals, Matthew on bass, and even Brandy on keyboards. You could leave me out of it, and it would be enough. I'll just stay home.
But you blew my mind when you said that you guys build the rig on stage. I was like, that's impressive.
Yeah. I always kind of felt a little bit like, well, if you can't do that job, should you be able to do the other one?
Right.
You know?
We used to have to haul our gear all the time, like, you know, set up for the club or whatever. So
yeah, man.
Yeah. Some things don't change.
No.
Just tell me his name. Just tell me you didn't get laid in our bedroom, and was it the same? Just tell me if his dick is bigger than mine. Do you remember the way it was when I was home before I left you on?
messages. We'll be right back.
Hi. If you enjoyed Dope Nostalgia, thank you. Consider becoming a Patreon subscriber today for as little as $1 a month. It helps keep the show on the air and rolling. So if you want to check out our Patreon, it's at patreon.com/dope nostalgia. $1 a month, and you'll be helping support one of your favorite podcasts.
Hey, this is Jimmy Ray. You're listening to Dope Nostalgia Podcast. Enjoy it.
Throw on your Jinkos, Baby Tees, and Doc Martens, grab your Lisa Frank Trapper Keeper, and join Jackie and Danielle on a journey to the late 90s as we reminisce about the movies of our youth on the No More Late Fees podcast. Don't forget your flannel and butterfly clips. And remember, be kind and rewind.
Listen up! I'm not here to babysit your panty waist. I'm here to make you better Nintendo players. So what does Mario do here, Mr. Jackson?
What?
Wrong. You. Wrong.
Do a little dance.
Wrong.
To get better at Nintendo, pick up super secret game kits on packages of Pepsi. Best of all, you can win one of thousands of Super Nintendo Entertainment Systems delivered via Federal Express.
This is a 90s centered podcast, so I also have a lot of fun questions for you about that era. What were your favorite 90s magazines that you were into the most?
Magazines? Village Voice. The New York City Village Voice was the only one I really paid attention to through the 90s, starting in maybe 92, 93 when I started auditioning for bands in New York City as an up-and-coming guitarist at the age of 19. I would say around 92 I discovered that magazine and was pretty into it. Other magazines from the 90s, yeah, probably Rolling Stone now and then. Just because they would have something a little bit deeper on somebody that I was interested in. If there was a good Soundgarden article, I would have grabbed Rolling Stone for that, without a doubt. Spin was around. And Time Out New York was another one. They didn't like us. They didn't write fondly of us, but I still read it and checked it out.
What were they all like? I've never heard of that magazine.
Time Out was, I think Time Out's still around. I might be wrong about that, but Time Out was like what's on in New York City magazine.
Okay.
It was a small magazine. It wasn't too big. It was, but you could find out, if you grabbed Time Out New York in 1998 or 97, you might have caught the Strokes' first show or something. It was like that was where you found out what was going on. Yeah.
Were you into anything like Circus or Metal Edge? Any of those guys too?
Not really. I mean, I used to pick them up at guitar stores. If there was one on the rack at a guitar store, I would pick up Circus and have a peek. NME was around in America, in New York sometimes, and I'd have a peek in there. And Kerrang was another one that was around. AP, I guess, was here about time to time. I would only pay attention to things I cared about, so it didn't really matter what the periodical was. If it was carrying the information I needed, I was going to grab it,
Yeah. I used to be that kid who would be in the store going through them all, and the shopkeeper being like, "This isn't a library."
Yeah. I used to spend hours in Borders books looking for articles on Jay Mascis's guitar rig, that I used to do that. I used to look for pictures of Fugazi because they didn't have too many pictures out and about. Anything where I learned something about the artists I looked up to, if I caught a rig rundown on Helmet or something like that, I would. If I didn't have the money, I'd steal that magazine. Didn't matter what it was. But yeah, I guess.
Now, did you sign up for Columbia House?
No, I never did that.
You avoided the trap.
Yeah, I never did any of that. My parents got scammed into Amway when I was like a little kid, and I remember them losing some money on that. So I was like, all of that mail order shit. I was like, nah, I'll skip it.
Oh, you're a good kid, man. We'd be making fake names and stuff. Yeah.
I once ordered a Halloween mask out of like Fangora magazine or something.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be there by Halloween, and it came like the next Christmas. It was like 15 months late. Yeah, it was this stupid and I don't even remember what the mask was. It might have been a Batman mask or something. I don't remember. I was a real little kid, but
tell me you got to use it anyways for that Halloween.
Yeah,
the next one.
No, we never used it. I never used it for Halloween, but it was deployed in the house to scare each other from time to time. It wasn't Batman. It was another one. It was supposed to be a Freddy Krueger mask, but they sent us the wrong one. Of course, it was the wrong one. It was like an old man mask instead, Yeah, just silly stuff.
Now, what album track have you released that you wish would have been a single?
Lemonade should have been the single from our second record. I feel like that would have been the label had real genuine tumult over what our first single should be off album 2, because they hated the record. So the truth is they weren't really going to give us a chance to have a second album no matter what it was. We could have delivered Sgt. Pepper's and they would have been like meh, but Lemonade I think was supposed to be the single from that record, and they didn't get it. They didn't understand that song, and now it's in our top 10 streaming all these years later, from a record that got no press, no promo. It was just serviced with nothing. And we were very quickly off the label after that. So we got it back. We own that record now, which is nice. Yeah.
Did you always feel like the label was more of a hindrance than it was anything? I feel like it would just be a constant battle to do what you wanted to do.
I think the world we signed a record deal in crumbled, fell apart, and was disappeared within 9 months of us signing a record deal. Mm-hmm. I think that they were in the stage where they were totally failing to know what their product was or who they were selling it to. It was the age of the CD that had 9 songs on it and was $27, Mm-hmm. And it just became quickly obvious that for us to survive as a band going into the next 25 or 30 years, we're going to have no label. Mm-hmm. That was obvious after a short period of time. And we got out of there with a lot of luck. We were able to walk with the Masters for our second record. We didn't have any obligations to them after that. We re-recorded for our first albums, and they lost the Masters, so settles the ownership issue on that. I just I feel good about getting off of the label. I don't have any regrets about that. It was a bad thing for us to stay on there,
And that leads to the Napster era, of course, too, and how record companies failed to react in the proper way with dealing with it. How did you react to Napster?
Well, I worked at a VPN company in Times Square from 96, 97, 98, that kind of time, And the guys at that company, when they knew I was a musician, they were like, your CD is software, right? People are going to be able to copy that without any copyright. You got to get your rights and blah blah. And they had clued me in quite a bit on, just because they were software guys. They knew things the record label didn't know, and it was a real learning experience for me. And then when the first single came out with Teenage Dirtbag in the album sales for the first week of whenever it was August when it came out, I remember they had a meeting where they were like, "Oh, we're really disappointed. We failed to break the 20,000 unit psychological barrier." And I was like, "Well, what did we do?" And they were like 19,452. I was like, "Well, what do the Napster numbers look like? Is there anything we can say about that?" And they were like, "What's Napster?" They had no idea, and this is 2000, this is summer of 2000, so they really didn't understand what they were in for. And that scared me enough to start thinking about maybe we're in the wrong place. Like, I started thinking that without saying it. And after, a short period of time, we delivered our second record, and they didn't want us anymore. So they dropped us, and it was great. It turned out just fine.
Yeah. A blessing.
Very much so.
Now, to think about things that are more recent happening with Wheatus, of course, One Direction covered Teenage Dirtbag, and wow, what a revival.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Yeah, they did a fine job, too. The version that they did was really, really hit hard.
Yeah?
Yeah, I saw it live a couple times. It was great. I was proud to have them do it. I didn't really understand who they were at first because I had not been in England for a little while. And 2009 was the first year that we didn't go over there because of the financial crisis. And then we went over again for a little bit in 2010, and I think around 2011 they began doing their thing on the X Factor, I believe.
Right.
And then I think within a year, their first record was out. And it was probably 2012, late 2012, when I found out that they were playing Teenage Dirtbag at Madison Square Garden. I was a few blocks down the road at my friend MC Lars's show. And Twitter started blowing up. That's how I found out. Yeah. But that night, Teenage Dirtbag was trending worldwide. And I was like, what is going on? And that restarted the whole thing. And it always had that vibe. It always had these like moments of like boom, boom, boom. It would come back and haunt people. And
it's never left.
Yeah,
it's never left.
Well, for a long time we thought that we were gonna I would say 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Those years all felt like our last.
Yeah.
Every one of them. And we would get home and sell all of our gear on eBay and start over again. And that was like we were living as lean as we possibly could, but we held it together somehow and kept fresh at the music and the repertoire. And, now we can still do a 2-hour show and it's cool, So it worked out.
Sure
but
did.
all those other artists doing the song, One Direction, Phoebe Bridgers, Chris Carrabba, SZA, there's like Rustin Kelly. There's so many now. And it's just that all pumps new life into it because all those people are putting their spin on it and get to see it through their eyes and learn more about the song that I wrote, believe it or not,
As a songwriter, that has to give you some inspiration to think that the song meant that much to these folks,
Yeah. It's a real surprise. It's like, oh, wow. You really feel that way about, okay. Yeah.
I understand that there's a documentary called Wheatus, You Might Die.
Yeah.
Is it finished? Is it out yet?
It's a tough question to answer. It was initially incepted to be about a band that was ending.
Yeah.
Because it was done during those years I was describing, where things were really rough. And so we really thought that it would be over when the band was, that would be the, but then things started to happen that turned that around pretty drastically. And every time I talk to the guys who are making it, they're like, man, there's too many like additional chapters to this story. Like the story we started documenting is no longer fact. I mean, it's fact of its time, but the context is. So it's going to be, I don't know how to really wrap it up, honestly. Yeah. It'll come out one day, but I will admit that it does not show us in our finest light, in particular me. It's really tough to watch sometimes. I mean, I was a tour manager and the front of house guy and the singer and the engineer on the stage, and I was like I was doing everything, and I was really strung out and just emotionally like stressed to the point of insanity, and that was all captured on film. So we'll show it as it is one day, I'm sure, but unpolished. But if we were to do that now, it would be a little bit incomplete. It'd be like, it's not the whole story, you know?
Bad timing, possibly.
I don't know. I think a lot of valuable information was captured, you know,
Yeah.
a lot of moments. If you want to see a band like go down to like the bottom of the barrel and just continue to try and survive, and you have to watch that one because it's tough, you know, it's real tough. But one day it'll come out, I think.
What's exciting is, though, you mentioned earlier, there is a tour coming up, and tell me about that and some new music.
Well, album 7 is kind of written. We just haven't had a chance to come off the road long enough to record it. Hoping to do that in 2026. But you know, there's the new music for you. But from now until the end of the year, we are pretty much touring starting in August, like perpetually. One more American leg, one more acoustic run, a few festivals, then the UK run, ending with Bowling for Soup. And now I just had a conversation last night about Australia in January. So I don't know. I don't know if it's going to end, if we get to step off the merry-go-round for a second and make a new album. I'm not sure. Part of the challenge is we already have a lot of material that people want to hear, and now that there's more interest, people haven't had a chance to hear it yet. They want us to come out and do it. So it's like that's more the demand right now than new music. But you know, we got to get that done somehow, because it's just been sitting there. That album 7's been sitting there all written and ready to go, and it's a little frustrating.
Have you ever done recording on the road?
Sort of.
Yeah.
Once or twice, but never like, we're going to make an album in the hotel rooms. One Direction did that. They had to. They did a fine job doing that. They were traveling with their engineer and their producer, and it was all a road show. It was all like on the road operation. Julian Bonetta, I think is his name, really talented guy who was able to squeeze records out of a band that was on the road, you know. A lot of work. Those boys did a lot of work in those years. That was ferocious what they did. Yeah. So I wouldn't like to do that. I like to sit at home with my stuff back here and make a proper studio album, you know.
Yeah, lends more to the creative process. And
yeah, exactly.
Sure. Well, I'm excited to see what's coming up, and good luck on tour this year. I hope everything goes amazing.
Thank you. Thanks so much for talking to me. I appreciate it. This was really fun.
Yeah, you really inspired me by having this chat. So thank you, Brendan.
I'm glad. You as well. I'm feeling good. I can't wait to get back to Canada. We have a few dates. You see them on our Wheatus.com/shows. There's a few Canadian dates brewing there. So
Sweet.
Exciting.
Yeah, I'm out in Western Canada. I'm in Edmonton. We just lost the Stanley Cup last night.
Oh, crushing.
Yeah.
Crushing.
It was a good run.
Yeah. You know, sit home and play Bob Cajun on the stereo and just take a deep breath, you know?
Yes. Fill up the soul again. Exactly.
Social media, yeah, we've got it. Send us an email, dopenostalgiapodcast@gmail.com. Twitter, Nostalgia Dope. Or on Insta, dope_nostalgia.
This podcast is licensed by SOCAN because we believe that artists should be paid for their work. Hey, friends. I kind of miss getting those messages on my answering machine like we used to back in the day. What I'd really love is to hear from you, the listeners of Dope Nostalgia. This is your chance to be on the show, giving feedback, telling us what you love, what you hate, and who you'd like to see more of. Call us at our new toll-free number, 1-888-741-9192. Leave us some feedback. Your message could be played on the show. So give us a call, 1-888-741-9192. Toll-free.